Axe of cream. GHOne is delighted to introduce our exquisite range of wines to the public just in time for Valentine's Day. Created with love and passion, our wines are perfect for any romantic occasion. So whether you're celebrating with a loved one or gifting a special someone, GHOne is the ideal choice to add a touch of sophistication to your festivities. We offer the following diverse range of wines to cater to your various tastes and obviously specifically to Valentine's. So there is GHOne Cold Brew Premium Red Wine, GHOne Brut Alb Sparkling Wine, GHOne Pastoral Premium Red Wine, GHOne Lacrima Dolce Sparkling Wine, GHOne Amplius Premium Red Wine, and then there is GHOne XO65 Whiskey. Now if you're looking to purchase on retail or wholesale, call 0558 6900 40. That's 0558 690040. With GHOne wine, you can elevate your Valentine's Day celebrations to a brand new level of elegance and sophistication. So cheers to love, romance, and the joy of sharing a glass of delicious wine with someone special. And from us here at GHOne, we say, have a GHOne Valentine. And here in the studio, we have ourselves GHOne. So maybe you should get your glasses so that we can cheers to Valentine coming this weekend. Cheers to Valentine.
Cheers. Cheers.
All right. Now, let me introduce my guest. But before that, let's talk about our conversation this evening. Tonight, we're asking you how important sex is in a relationship. Some may say that you can have a beautiful relationship and not really focus much on the sex. I mean, if you're not having lots of sex or even good sex with your partner, should that really matter? There's so much to a relationship than just sex. Is that the case? We're going to break it down. And to help me with this conversation tonight, I have to my immediate left, I was going to say something, but God has spoken to me, so I will say it. His name is Pastor Andoh. He's a pastor and a counselor. You're welcome to GHOne. So you know what I was going to say, Anna? Yeah. And then we have coming all the way from Nigeria, Olawumi Esan, who's a psychologist and a sex therapist. You're welcome to GHOne.
Thank you.
So good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And then we have the certified sex coach, Ami Shika. Ami, you're welcome.
Thank you. I'm always happy to be here.
I know. Yeah. And when we have conversations like this, around topics like this, I know that Ami is ever ready to defend.
Yeah.
Absolutely defend.
I'm always like, sex is important. It's beautiful. Like,
I always see it coming, don't I? All right, so let's break down the conversation. I mean, obviously, let me start with you because I just literally took the words out of your mouth. I'll go straight to ask the question. How important is sex in a relationship?
Okay, so when it comes to sex, right? Let's say a couple, when they have sex, when they have good sex, feel-good hormones are released. You've heard of oxytocin. It's called a bonding hormone.
Okay.
When you have sex with your partner and it's great, you feel so close emotionally. It's great. It benefits the relationship in general. That's one thing. Another thing is like with bad sex, right? Or like if you have bad sex, the resentment that comes with it emotionally, you can be distant.
Right.
That's another thing. And when you have like very good sex with your partner, you love them more. You feel like so close with them. Like for the long term, if it's like consistent, the relationship blossoms. And I'm not saying that a relationship cannot blossom if you're not having sex. But with sex, good sex in the picture, you are happier. You feel closer emotionally. And I mean, how do you feel after good sex? Like the viewers should like think about it. Like how do they feel after good sex? Imagine getting that constantly. It's, I mean, in the end, the health of your relationship will benefit from it.
Right.
You're not now going to be like feeling like, oh, what's happening with me and my partner emotionally? Like, please, And then, I mean, you get to talk to, you feel like you are like connected. Please, for the health of your relationship, I think sex is great.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And let me come to Olami. When Ami was speaking, she kept saying good sex, good sex. Do you think that good sex is relative, or is there a certain standard that everybody has to, go by or achieve in order to have good sex?
I'd say that good sex can be individual, right?
Okay.
I do think that there are some general definitions that people have and consistently try to aspire to that can be a disservice to them.
Right.
So one of the questions I get very often is, allow me, how many times should we have sex in a week? How many times should couples have sex? And everybody's expecting me to give a number. Some people have given a number 3 times, 4 times, and all of that. However, I say, when it comes to you as a couple, it doesn't matter what any other person is doing. What matters is what you and your partner are happy with. What is that happy number for both of you? So it doesn't matter what I'm doing. It doesn't matter what he's doing. It doesn't matter what anybody's doing. What matters is what is that happy number for both of you. And more, I tell people, I say, look, sex has to be for your comfort, for your pleasure. And you should be able to redefine sex in a way that is meaningful to you as a couple and not what everybody's doing. So I have a lot of couples come to me, or women come to me and say, oh, I see people's stories on Instagram, I see stuff on social media, and I want my sex life to be like that. I say, great, fantastic, but can we see you first? Because it's very important that we see your individuality in the place of sex.
Right.
Who you are as a person cannot come out authentically if you are aspiring to be like every other person. It would be like putting a square peg in a round hole.
Right.
Till you find your authentic sexual expression, that if you don't find it, you will struggle.
Right.
You would always feel like an imposter. But until you find it, when you find it, it's not going to be something that is forced or pressured. It's going to come out of you authentically, joyfully, and it will be such a, how do I put it, a real expression of yourself that you will revel in it, you will sit in it, you will be so comfortable in it that if anybody challenges it, you know where you're coming from. And so I think basically going back to that question that you asked, I think it's very individual, and I think that the more we're able to redefine it according to our standards, our taste, our preferences, our personalities, and what we want, then we start to make great progress in the bedroom.
Right, that is wonderful. And I like that you said that, because for the most part, I know a lot of men, well, I mean, I can't say that categorically because I don't have statistics to back what I'm going to say, but I do know that men enjoy watching pornography, and some men have set certain standards for the kind of experiences they want to have sexually based off of the kind of pornography they watch, right? So they see a woman in the pornography doing this and that and that, and they get with a regular girl and expect that standard from her.
Absolutely.
Because they feel like, I want to experience this. That becomes a bit of a problem because not only is there no communication to what they expect, but then they always feel unsatisfied and they feel like there has to be somebody out there that can give me that.
Absolutely.
And so it's like it's a wild goose chase, if you ask me. However, they never stop because it's like they're trying to find something.
That's what they've been conditioned.
Exactly. They're looking for something. How would you say, so for instance, if there's any woman who maybe you're very much aware that your partner or your husband is constantly watching pornography, and sometimes the women feel so, they feel, I'm looking for this word, they feel like they need to live up to a certain standard. Inadequate. They feel very inadequate because it's obvious. I'm probably looking at maybe, I don't know, my weight, my height, and maybe, and for anyone who watches pornography, they have a type. You know what I mean? So if my husband is watching pornography with women that are opposite of my type, I'm like, what's going on? He probably is not
attracted to me. Absolutely.
Or I may not be able to do that. How do we turn that situation around or deal with that situation, so to speak?
Okay. So can I just say this? Women also watch porn.
Yeah.
Yes. But not more than men, or Well, you really
know,
can tell.
Exactly,
Okay.
right? So, women watch porn, men watch porn. But if your husband, I mean, just speaking to the scenario you had painted, if your husband, your man, is so focused on porn, you might be dealing with the porn addiction there. And so, the standards, the things he wants, and all of those things are, for lack of a better word, symptoms, but they're not the real problem, right?
Right.
The real problem is that this person might be dealing with the pornography addiction, and that is something that you have to go to therapy for, right? And that, that's a big concern, because as a matter of fact, I've seen so many couples, right? Somebody's dealing with a pornography addiction and the partner is deprived of sex. So you are not having sex. The man is not having sex with his woman, but he's watching porn. And then he says, but I'm not also having sex. But you are. You're just having it solo. Because you are having sex, but this person is deprived of sex. And so the bigger issue in that scenario is that this person might be dealing with an addiction here. And all the other things that come out are like symptoms of the deeper and the bigger problem that need to be addressed.
Very, very interesting.
And sorry, I just wanted to say something about the whole expectations and porn. I watched a documentary about a porn star not too long ago. I mean, this is the work that I do anyway. And a lot of the things that we see in porn are doctored, right? So they cut. They stop in between, they cut, they break, but you watch this whole length of it and you think people are going on for that long, but it's not necessarily true. So in the documentary I watched about this porn star, in one of the scenes, the man was having sex with one of the ladies, and then she had to cut, and then she was crying, and then she goes, he's too rough, he's too hard. And then the producer goes, oh, I'm so sorry, my baby. He now wiped her tears. He said, go, give me that pretty face, give me that pout. She went back on set. People that consume it don't see that. They don't see what's going on behind the scenes. But we had the privilege of seeing it because we were watching the documentary and we could see the things that were going on behind the scenes. But someone who is consuming that on a regular does not even think that might be going on, right? You just think, I mean, these people are acting. You think that's what it is, and then you have expectations that are not entirely realistic of your partner.
Very, very interesting. I find that it's very interesting because, like you said, people don't know what's behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now let me come to you, Pastor Andoh. Let me ask you the question that we're dealing with. How important is sex in a relationship?
Very, very important.
Okay.
The Bible talks about it.
Okay.
So it's very, very important, very vital, even for the growth of the relationship, for the growth of the marriage, and for the stability of the marriage. So it is very important. That is why even the Bible talks about it in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7. That even when the man is up to something or the woman is up to something, they should quickly come back so the enemy will not use it as a yardstick to destroy them. Okay. So sex is very important.
Very important. Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Ami, let me circle back to what you said early on about good sex, because you emphasis on that was again and again. Can you have good sex every time you're having sex?
Yes, you
Is
can.
that a given?
That should be the focus. Because when you focus on like pleasing each other, focus on like what to do to make your partner have a good time, make sure that they are enjoying the session, taking notes of the way they respond, their body language and everything. You can make sure that you have good sex all the time. I'm at a point where I'm not having bad sex. I won't have bad sex.
Right.
Because why would you do it? I feel like instead of having bad sex, don't do it at all. You can actually achieve good sex every time you have sex. And the way she defines it, like, I mean, we all have our definitions, right? So let's say your erogenous zones your sensitive spots are being stimulated. Mentally, you are ready. You communicate, and your partner does the things you like. You're doing what your partner likes, and it's in a setting that, I mean, both of you are like, I mean, getting what you want out of it. Like, it can always be good.
Right.
That should be the focus.
Right.
If not, don't have it, because bad sex could mean that you are in pain. You see, bad sex could mean that your partner is not listening to your needs at all. They're doing what they want. Bad sex could mean that it's all about like once they're focusing on maybe penetration, and once he comes, he's leaving you hanging.
Right.
Yeah, so once you do it the right way and making sure that you are aiming to please and communicating, sex can be great.
Right. I asked that because, I was trying to look at it from a very realistic angle where, first of all, you won't always be in the mood for sex when your partner is. First of all. I mean, there's always a possibility that you have a partner who will be in the mood at a time that you really couldn't be bothered, right? And also because we go through life, things happen. I've had a bad day at work. I don't know, I got fired. I had a baby 2 months ago. So many things happen in life that make it almost impossible to have good sex every time you have sex.
Then, I mean, if I'm having a bad day, it shouldn't be pressure. Like, what are you defining as sex? Can you try to let us do things that I will enjoy? Like, let's say kissing, like making sure, like, okay, like getting me to feel better, talking to me, or maybe massaging me because I'm so stressed. And then letting us do a little makeout session. It doesn't have to be, sex is not just one thing. There's no one definition for sex. Kissing, making, oral sex, all those things count. So how about focusing on things that in that moment I will enjoy? Like, do you understand? The fact that I'm not in the mood, that's not, because you don't have to have sex if you really do not want to have sex. If I'm in a place where I cannot have sex and I don't want to do it, my partner should be able to understand, because even in marriage you should consent to sex. Even in marriage you should consent to sex. So if your partner can absolutely not have sex, you should, solo sex is still sex. Yeah, so I think that realistically we can aim toward like enjoying every intimate session we have with our partners. If they are stressed, find ways to ease the stress before getting in, because stress can kill desire, can make it hard for you to even be present in your body. Then it's like your partner is using your body to masturbate. Doing that goes against the whole thing, because in the end they might not really enjoy it like that.
Right.
Sex is nicer when everybody wants to do it. You're enthusiastic about it, and when everyone is having a good time, like the energy is there. It's better that way.
Right.
I feel like, it's easy for people to say that, because it's life and you should expect that sometimes it'll be bad, but how about aiming toward it being a fun time all the time?
Right.
And then it shouldn't be the same all the time. Maybe in this moment I'm not in the mood for penetration. Let's do other things that I'm in the mood for in that moment. Do you understand? Because they're we're getting sexual pleasure. You can have orgasms from a lot of experiences that are not penetration. You can get sexual pleasure from it. Like, it should be like, you can bond, like, there's so much you can do. It shouldn't be like the one way that the fact that I'm not in the mood to do that and you are in the mood for sex, we have to do it. Then, it's not consensual.
It's not. Because I do know that, again, I can't back it with statistics, but I do know that for the most part, a lot of, when people are married in our local setting, pretty much the woman is told that don't go and hang out this man. You know what I mean? Make sure you give him everything he needs whenever he needs it. And that is literally what women are told all the time. It's like, make sure that you make him happy. Essentially. Essentially make him happy. And so a lot of women will have sex whether they want to or not, in the hopes that if I satisfy this man enough, he will be happy with me.
But in the end, they do the negative, because they do the opposite, because you don't want to do it, but because you're told that it's your obligation, do it, open your legs. Now you're lying there like a dead log because you feel like you have to avail your body to your partner to get pleasure, when sex should be mutually pleasurable for it to be exciting. So now in the end, whenever he's ready, you lie down and open your leg, and he does it, and now he's getting bored and feeling like
would you say let me ask you, allow me, would you say that is partly the reason that over time the two people in a relationship or marriage get so bored that one party or even both parties decide to step out, because it's like we're looking for excitement that obviously is not happening here?
So I would say that in in my experience and in my years of working with couples, one of the things I've come to realize is couples tend to settle into a rut, right? And so you find that couples tend to have like a sex formula. They figure out a few things that work and then stick with it. So press the boobs for 2 minutes, somebody shakes the penis, and then we're good to go. We do missionary, maybe we do doggy, maybe somebody comes on top, and then, maybe one of those 1 to 3 positions. But we know what we like, we know our staples. And so what I'm finding is that couples are not exploring. Right?
So it's routine.
And so it's routine, it's predictable. And the thing, very interesting, you can think ahead. Somebody wants sex. Your husband or your wife wants sex. And you think ahead and say, okay, this is how I know it's going to go. What is in it for me? Am I excited to want it? Do I enjoy it? Is there anything that motivates me to want more? And then you think, well, it's just going to be the same old thing. And then you can choose to say, okay, you know what, I'm not interested. Because it's predictable, it's routine, and couples tend to, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with finding things that you like. But what I'm finding more and more is that people are not exploring the possibilities of pleasure. Sex is more than your erogenous zones and intercourse. There's so much. So I did a program today and we covered this, and I don't know, I think it's something we can do here. I just want you to take your palm like this, and I just want you to run your finger across your palm very gently, slowly. And I want you to focus on what you're feeling. Alright, just take it around, trail it across, focus on what you're feeling. Slowly. And then you calm down. How does it feel for you?
It feels nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if someone could have asked you, could you get pleasure from your hands? You're probably like, my hands.
Yeah.
But I do this, and just doing this, coming down is very tingling for me.
Yeah.
Doing this in some fingers. And so I do this, and you're finding that just that simple thing. Just touch,
really nice.
exploring your hands that you take for granted. Feels really good. Right?
You know what I do? I get a hair wash. It feels so good.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Your scalp.
Absolutely.
It feels
so imagine how many people are having sex and starting with a scalp massage.
No one.
How many people are having sex and you're taking your person's finger in your mouth and sucking it? How many people are doing stuff like that? How many people are touching and stroking and playing? More often than not, what is happening is we're thinking of sex in terms of things that are highly arousing. So it's 7, 8, let's say pleasure is on a spectrum of 1 to 10. 7, 10, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 being very arousing pleasure. So that's our focus. That's arousing pleasure and orgasm. But we are discounting pleasures that can be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that can lead to even more pleasure. So this pleasure for you could be a 3, but it's pleasure. Why are we discounting the pleasure we have in our bodies? Imagine if you bring this and put other things and you're discovering more about your your entire skin, like your body.
Now you're making me want. You're making me want.
Yeah.
Somebody please come and touch my hand.
Your body is a wonderland, and most times we're just zoning into the obvious erogenous zones. When your entire body, your skin, oh my God, is an entire wonderland, and then you're just
okay. Now Olaomi is wanting me to explore more than I have. This is Duvet, and we're obviously having the conversation about how important sex is in our relationships and in our marriages, especially. And Pastor Andoh, Olaomi, and Amishika, they are helping me break down the conversation. I'm enjoying the conversation, and I'm learning that my fingers can do a thing or two. So I'm going to explore that later on. Quick break. We will be right back. is in a relationship. My name is Natalia, and I'm with Pastor Andoh. I am with Olaumi, and I am with Amishika. Now, I like the song and how it goes, because she's asking for specific stuff, which I see is a bit of a problem in a lot of relationships. People don't know how to ask for what they want, for fear of, I don't know, being judged or being seen a certain way. And I feel like, but if I'm asking this of my husband or my partner, shouldn't that be the easiest thing? Because this is like the person that I'm intimate with. It should be the easiest thing to communicate to my partner, right? The people I don't want to know are, I don't know, maybe people in my office, I don't want them to know how I do what I do. But my partner, I should be able to communicate with. However, I find that people struggle with communication when it comes to that. Pastor Andoh, why is that? I would say to a large extent that I will probably blame the men of God for this.
Oh, no. We are not to be blamed. We are not to be blamed. We are not to be blamed.
Okay, so what is going on?
The problem is that from the onset, we have been taught a certain way of living. Even from our families.
Okay.
So our sister says something. When we were growing up, we were told that if your husband comes to you, just open your legs. So from the onset, we were not told that sex is not just about penetration. But there are a lot of things we got to do before we get to the penetration. And sometimes if you're able to do it and do it well, we don't even need the penetration. So this thing did not start from the church, because we did not raise you. It started from where you coming from. You understand? It did not start from the church, because we did not raise you. Probably maybe you came to the church around the age of 20-something years, and basically I can't talk to you about.
Exactly.
No,
what did you
the fact that you grew up in the church does not mean you are sleeping in the church.
But do you know that we're raised in such a way that a lot of things make people feel very guilty when it comes to sex?
Okay.
People touching themselves, they feel guilty about it. They feel like, oh my God, this is a sin. Like, why am I touching myself? God must be very upset with me. I need to go and pray for forgiveness. And then, of course, we hear a lot of the time, the men of God will say that, don't touch yourself is a sin. God doesn't like this. God doesn't like that. So a lot of people are afraid and ashamed to do or express themselves sexually, mostly because of religion.
Okay.
Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't agree with that. The reason why I will not is that, you see, the Bible is not just for the pastor. This is what we have to understand.
Okay.
A pastor can preach to you. You also have to go back and research the scriptures for yourselves.
Okay.
You understand? Our problem is that sometimes when people talk to us about something about God, we just take it like that without we going back to investigate actually what the pastor said. So the problem we are having actually, because I can still preach to you and I still don't know what I'm preaching about. That is why when I preach to you after, you go back to the scriptures and research about what I'm talking about. You understand? So I may not be your problem. The problem is that you have decided not to learn.
Right.
Yes.
Interesting. But sex is not a sin.
No, it's not a sin. No, never.
It's a sin if you're not married.
It's a sin when you are not married.
Okay.
Yeah, that one we have an issue with it.
Okay.
But if I am married, I'm good to go.
Right.
I can do it every day. If I
So
want
would
to.
you say that, would you say emphatically that do not have sex before marriage? Do you agree with that? Don't have sex before marriage. Would you say that's something you agree with?
I agree with that.
So you're saying that people should only have sex after they're married?
I agree with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree with
Don't you think that's a bit problematic?
That is what I'm saying. Sometimes, you see, sometimes we cannot really fault people when they have it before marriage.
Right.
You understand? Okay. But the original thing to be done is that we should wait till we marry. But in case we are not able to wait and it happens, we don't condemn ourselves.
Right. Okay. All right.
I'd like to add something to that. Again, choosing to have sex before marriage or after marriage can be a personal choice.
That is it.
But I do think that people do it in a misguided way. So I hear people say things, and I'm not coming from a faith-based perspective. I'm a Christian, but I'm not even speaking in terms of the faith. I'm speaking in terms of experience, common sense, working with people over all of these years. I hear a lot of people say things like, I can't marry someone without having sex with them because I must test to be sure that we are compatible. First of all, the concept of sexual compatibility is not rigid. It's a very fluid concept, right? Compatibility can grow. 1. 2, you can have sex with someone prior to marriage, and then you get married. I remember you were saying life happens, things happen. I've seen lots of people who were sexually active before marriage, and by the time they got married, things just changed. The realities of life set in for them. They were working on chemistry, but they did not work on the deeper things that needed to be worked on.
Right.
And they started to struggle. So that, what's it called? Testing, they were testing to be sure, didn't make any sense. Because the realities of sex in context of marriage is very different from sex before marriage. Now the realities of life setting, you probably start to have children, you have work, you are doing this, you're now living together, and all of those realities setting. It's not the same as I see you every 2 days and all of that. And, do you understand?
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, you can have great sex and all of those things in the testing and all of that. What happens along the lines if somebody starts to have maybe erectile dysfunction, or somebody starts to have pain with sex? How do you manage
Then
that?
there's a problem.
How do you guard it? You can't. Right? So what I tell people is this is a personal choice. Whether you want to do it, it's a personal choice, yeah? But what is most important is for me is this. Whether or not you choose to engage in sex before marriage or whatever, it's important that you engage with sex. And what do I mean? If you're not engaging in it, or you must engage with it.
Okay.
So it means that you must educate yourself. You must align your beliefs. You must understand where you're coming from and where you're going to. You must set a foundation of open communication, because when the trouble spots start to happen, those are the things that will help you navigate those times.
Right.
Do you understand? Because those are the things that will prepare you for eventualities that you didn't even think could happen. When I had my first child, nobody knew that she was that big, right? She came out at 5.2 kg, and I had a vaginal birth. Imagine that. I had a mediolateral episiotomy, and they had to use forceps to bring out. Imagine the trauma to my vagina, right? And so we couldn't have intercourse for 5 months, yeah? Again, all of these things happen. How was I supposed to know that something like that would have happened?
Right.
But one of the things that I told myself, even before we got married, was this. And my husband and I have, good communication. I told myself, I had proposed in my heart that, look, even when I start to have children, I'm not going to put any child above my husband. My children are going to know that we prioritize our relationship. But I made that commitment, but it wasn't just my commitment to action and follow through. My husband had to be on board. So we gave birth to the baby, and my husband would say, don't worry, go and sleep, I'll take care of the children. Because for me to hold true to that commitment, he had to play his part. And so I jokingly tell people I feel like my husband is a better parent. Like he's very involved in the parenting. So it's easy for me to hold through to that commitment. And my children know I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. And there was one day I just sat them and I just asked them separately, and I said, what do you see when you see daddy and I? And they say, I see respect. I see love. I like how both of you just decide you want to go to a hotel and leave us with grandma. And sometimes my daughter comes and says, Mommy, I think you and Daddy should go to a hotel and leave us with grandma, or just go somewhere. We are prioritizing our relationship, and they know, which is where I'm also going to tie it back into good sex. How important is good sex? The truth is that it's not just about the relationship. It's beautiful in that aspect, but it's also about the fact that when you have sex that is fulfilling and satisfying for both of you as a couple and helps your relationship, even your children can see it. When things are not going well in the bedroom, they start to affect other parts of the relationship, and everybody's working on a time bomb, and your children can see the strain in the relationship. But when things are going well, your children can see. Don't take it for granted what they see and what they learn from you, because you are their model. And they see all of this. They might not know what is happening in your sex life. They might not know what's happening in your bedroom. They might not even know that is the origin of the problem, but they see the strain. So when it's good, and the relationship is good, and the atmosphere and the environment of the home is good, is joyful, is happy, your children are watching you, because that is how they learn how to have relationships as they grow.
Yeah, I really love that. Is so profound. I love that. And I love the fact that you mentioned that you put your husband first, which is not something that we see a lot of the time, because I would say that personally I've seen a lot of people grow up who would tell you that they have amazing fathers, but those amazing fathers were terrible husbands to their wives, right? So we're going to talk about the balance. I mean, I'm going to come to you, but before that, keep in mind that Duvet Experience 2025 is coming. It's called Glow in the Dark. This February, celebrate love in style with the Duvet Experience at Alisa Hotel. So it's happening on the 13th and the 14th of February. Now, the Duvet Experience features two main events. There is the Love Fair, which is happening on the 13th and 14th of February from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can shop for unique and romantic gifts at the forecourt of Alisa Hotel. And we're asking vendors to grab your spot at an affordable price. Call 0244-092857. So whatever you sell, whether it's lingerie, anything that, you know, has to do with love and sex, possibly, you come and grab a stand. Mingle with your favorite EIB TV and radio personalities. And then we're going to have an intimate dinner party on the 14th of February, which is happening at 7 p.m. We're going to end the celebration with an elegant dinner party featuring performances from KK Fosu. We would have Ursula Esel, and we're going to have a sensational live band. Plus, the vibrant Akuma Mamazimbi will bring her magic to the event. So we're going to have chocolates and roses and giveaways. Tickets are going for 500 Ghana cedis single and 950 Ghana cedis double. So it's happening at the Alisa Hotel. Call 0501-317784 or visit the Alisa Hotel to reserve your seat. You do not want to miss this extraordinary celebration of love. Duvet, love is in the air. It's the Duvet Experience. I mean, you're going to be there, right? On the 14th of February. You're going.
I have my own event. I'm hosting.
Oh, right. I thought you were going on a getaway. And this Valentine is a weekend because it falls on a Friday.
My getaway is after my event. I'm getting picked up for
your getaway.
Yeah.
So you're doing the entire weekend. So I think that this hasn't happened in a while. Valentine hasn't come on a Friday in a minute.
Yes.
And so it feels to me like this weekend, if on Friday, I don't know what time your partner closes from work, but if you haven't heard from them by 6 p.m., know that you hear again back from them on Monday, because it's like, Charlie's like, he's gone, man.
That's when you know
somebody took it. You know what I mean?
You are the main chick or the side chick.
Somebody's taking it away. And it's going to be for the entire weekend. You know, you're going to hear all kinds of excuses this weekend, like, oh, my sister asked me to go with, you know, she and had something
that preparing my excuses and other things.
You know? So what you're saying is that if anybody gives you a story for why they are not available this weekend,
I will off my
phone. A lot of times, it's Valentine's Day that makes you know whether your partner is really yours.
Wow.
A lot of times, some might be, because in the end, if he's seeing multiple people, he'll prioritize one. But there are some that would send.
He will prioritize the one.
They know what to do. They will send multiple gifts. Because there's some people who sell gifts that would say that the man asks them to deliver to 5 different girls or 3 different girls. So you are all feeling special. But maybe he'll tell you he has work, so he cannot make time. But you are feeling special. Yeah. So, well, it's not
interesting.
I would feel some type of way if I'm talking to you or seeing you and we don't do anything about it. Because am I really your girl?
Yeah. Am I really your girl? Yeah. All right. So let me touch back on what Olaomi said early on. You know, we grow up looking for the things that we see. It's the reason why a lot of the times we would say that when young girls grow up without a father, it tells for when they become women, because they are longing for love in all the wrong places, because they missed out on that when they were younger. And in the same vein, as a child, seeing everything you see between your parents, you grow up and get in a marriage or relationship thinking that this man should this man prioritize me? Should I be his priority? And that will be based off of what you saw when you were growing up. Because if your father did not prioritize your mom, then it feels to you like this man should not prioritize me. That's what you know. You're conditioned to believe that that is the way that it should go. And that is why, you know, when we're raising kids as you know, as adults, how we deal with our relationships is so important because it plays out in their later lives, you know, and especially for the men, is you set the standards. Unfortunately, I don't know why I say unfortunately, but it is unfortunate. I wish it was the women that would set the standards, especially for the girls, but the men do. You set the standards for the young girls. A friend of mine said to me that growing up, her father would slap her at the least whatever she did wrong, right? And she got so familiar with that, and, you know, got in a marriage where her husband every now and again would slap her, but she saw nothing wrong with it because it's like, it's very normal. Say I did something wrong. So
did it.
So you know what I mean?
Sometimes I don't blame the men. Sometimes I blame the women. Because growing up in my house, even when daddy is not in the house, mommy will tell me, when daddy comes, I will tell daddy to beat you.
Well,
So in my mind, I thought daddy was a wicked man.
But if daddy beats you as a boy, I see nothing wrong with it. The challenge, I mean, it's not a good thing, right? But the challenge is for us women, right? When I was growing up, one of the things I learned from my dad is, and I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I've never gone to any restaurant, got a menu, and looked at how much anything is, like ever. Because the very first time I went to any restaurant, I was pretty young, and I went with my dad. And he would, I was looking at whatever was there, side by side, alongside how much it is. And he said, don't ever do that. Look at what you want to eat and order it. And for whatever reason, up until now, I just look at what I want to eat and I order it. I never care for how much what is, because I can afford it. So I do that. And I do that because I was conditioned, do you understand? And so it's in a way that a man treats you, right? Whether it's your father or whatever, is if in the way he makes you feel special, he makes you feel wanted, he makes you feel loved. That becomes the standard. He sets a standard for you. So any man that comes into your life and doesn't make you feel like that, obviously doesn't qualify.
Can I speak to what you had said about you blaming the mothers because mommy will say that when daddy comes back he will beat you? Technically, daddy is not a robot. And if daddy was really involved, daddy would say, what did the child do? Daddy would call you and say, what happened? Why is mommy asking me to smack you? What did you do? Right? That is what an involved father should do, not be a robot that they delegate beating to.
But you should know that sometimes some fathers don't
that's what
think.
happens.
Some fathers wouldn't think like the way you are thinking. You understand? Because we are very different.
So it's like, you come home and they say, beat her, then you beat her.
So because they feel mommy wouldn't lie. They feel mommy wouldn't lie. You understand? Nowadays, they feel mommy wouldn't lie.
But mommy should even give a reason.
It's like, beat her, then you beat her.
That is how it is.
Mommy should give a reason.
Like, I can't even do that with my husband. My husband will say, what's wrong with you? What happened? What did they do? Calm down, calm down. Okay, what did they do? Okay, don't worry, I'll talk to them. That is how a father should be. I tell my kids, I say, look, I envy you. I wish your daddy was my daddy.
Yeah, I know.
That is it. You
I know.
You did it right.
Right. So when we come back, I'm going to ask you, just so I don't forget, let me ask you, Olaomi, do you suppose that raising a boy child and a girl child, and which is, we're digressing a little, but it's important because of where we have gotten to in the conversation. Do you think a girl child and a boy child should be raised differently in the home? Okay, so let's hold on to that. We're going to go on a break. This is Duvet. My name is Natalia. Quick break. We will be right back. position is of the week. We will be right back.
Sex position of the week, the standing dragon, an ideal position for G-spot stimulation. And if you are the giver, seeing the curves of your partner's rear can be highly erotic. The penetrating partner stands and enters the receiver from behind as they pose all fours on the edges of the bed and arch their backs to lift their buttocks. With their legs outside of their partners, givers can use their thighs to squeeze their partner's knees together, which tightens the receiver's vagina around the giver's penis or dildo.
All right, so that is the standing dragon, which feels to me like an elevated doggy position in it. Yeah. But it looks really nice and comfortable because the woman is on something, and that's really comfortable. That is for a lazy woman, if you ask me. I'm too tired to do any work, man. All right, so, but Ami, what do you think about this position?
I think it's another way to have sex, and everyone should try it, because doing the same things all the time, the routine, it gets boring. That's why people think sex is overrated. Switch it up. Try something new.
Okay.
I do think that I beg to differ on the lazy woman. I like the so when he put the hands at the back, I like I don't want to say, I'm not saying aggression there, but it can be interpreted as I like it, and some people will like it, some people will gravitate towards that. So for me, it's him being in charge, and I like when a man is in charge. So I really like that about the position, the way he's able to also take some control. And even as a woman in that position, even though you are resting on something, like, you can actually activate movement in your hip and actually control what is happening in that position. So I think it's fantastic. I like it.
Pastor Andoh?
Yeah, I think the position is very nice. So I think one of these days I will try some to see.
Great. Pastor Andoh, are you married?
Oh God.
You did say that sex before marriage is a sin. So if you're not married,
one day I will try.
You said one of these days.
It doesn't.
What? You know
I will.
Yeah, but it does look nice. Yeah,
and get spanked.
Yes, which is a very wonderful feeling. In the very near future, just like you, I may also try one of these days. All right, so let me circle back to the question before the break. Let's touch on that real quick, so that we don't digress off the topic too much. Right?
Should boys and girls be raised differently?
Yeah.
In my opinion, no. First of all, we're humans. We're human beings. We just have a male expression, a female expression, but at the end of the day, we are all human beings. And a lot of the differentiations that people make in terms of domestication, girls should do this, boys should do that, I think basically these things are life skills. Because children would leave the home, go to university, have to fend for themselves. Shouldn't a boy be able to cook for himself and eat? Shouldn't a girl be able to cook for herself and eat? Right? I mean, shouldn't a boy be able to do his laundry, a girl be able to do her laundry? Why do we create these distinctions based on gender when these are basically life skills that these people should have? I don't think so. But again, even when we say these things, we also have to check ourselves so that we're not, so to ensure that we're not doing it subconsciously, even when we have it, even when we take a consciously different stance. We have to also check ourselves consistently to say, okay, am I doing this thing subconsciously because perhaps that's how I was raised, right? But honestly, in my opinion, these things are life skills. I don't think that there should be a difference in how people are raised regardless of gender.
Right. All right. So now let's get back to the conversation. So are we saying, what we were saying essentially, okay, no, we're not saying that. This should be a question or a statement. Are we saying that relationships that do not have, a lot of good sex, I mean, in your case, will not thrive or do well?
Well, it depends on the specific relationship and the needs of the partners. If one partner has a very high sex drive and wants sex, and the other partner does not desire sex or want it like that, then there's an imbalance. Then one's needs will not be met. It's either they are getting it, outsourcing it, or doing it alone, and then it gets like, now it gets frustrating. The one person will be sexually frustrated, the other person is happy. You will be unhappy if you have like sexual needs that are unmet. Like, think about it, and your partner cannot tend to those needs. You are like, it won't thrive.
Right.
It will not thrive unless like you're putting on, like, I mean, relationships are bigger than sex anyway, right? There's some couples that like get to a point where it's like, I don't love sex as much as you. I don't want it as much as you. So you can go out there and have someone you get it with. In the other areas of the relationship, it's working. So yeah, so it really depends on their relationship and what's like your needs are, and if both of your needs are being met.
Right.
Do you understand? Yeah. If both of you do not want sex, do not crave it, and all, and the other areas emotionally, you are getting your needs are being met emotionally and financially, everywhere else it's working. Your children, everything. That is great. So it really depends on your relationship and what your individual needs are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have officially opened the phone lines. It's on your screens. Do call us. Today we have a sex therapist and a sex coach, and then we have a pastor and a counselor. So if you have any questions with regards to your sex life, this is your opportunity to get the right answers right here on Tuve. I like what you said, Ami, and then you said. You said something that I felt was very interesting. A very old man who's like a family friend. He's like just about hitting his 70s, and he's been married for over 40 years. But him and his wife, he said him and his wife have always stayed in separate rooms in the house. As a matter of fact, he said he's always lived upstairs and his wife has always lived downstairs. And he says that is why they have lasted as long. You know, we have a caller. Hold on to that. Hello? Hello? Okay, I think we lost that caller. Pastor Reno, how do you feel about couples who keep separate bedrooms?
I will still go with what my sister says. Sometimes it depends on both of them, what they really want. You understand? Yeah, but if you think your sexual drive is very high and you cannot stay without having sex with your partner, from the onset, you guys need to talk about it. And I think, because in most cases that comes to my table as a pastor, we realize that most of the divorces is, the reason why people divorce mostly, especially in Ghana here, is because of sex. Most of the issues that comes to my table as a pastor, sex has been the major problem for them. And sometimes I ask them, so
when you say sex, the lack of it, or infidelity, or like, give me
let me give an example over here. An issue came to my table where the woman says that I will only have sex with my husband if I want it. If my husband wants it, I can't give it out because I'm not in the mood. That's at that time.
Okay, please hold that thought. Hello? Oh, are we not getting the caller? Hello? Okay, continue.
As at that time, you understand what I mean? So I feel from the onset of the relationship, you guys need to talk about it. We need to talk up. If we are not on the same page and we think we cannot flow in that dimension, let's go our different ways.
Right. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you. Good evening. How are you? Hello?
Hello?
Okay, so what's going to happen is that I'm going to have to let this caller go. Here's what's going to happen. When you do call me, you're going to have to turn down the volume on your TV set so that you can hear me very clearly and I can hear you very clearly. Because if you keep the volume up, we struggle to hear you, and then, you know, it defeats the whole purpose of your phone call, because then we won't hear anything you're going to say. Hello? We have another caller. Hello? Yes, hi. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I want to say that the pastor, he said that sex before marriage is a sin.
Okay.
I want to ask him that what quotation that he can use to prove to me that sex before marriage is a sin.
Over to you, Joe Latin.
I am just laughing. Basically, I don't know where you are, maybe where you are calling from. If you're a Christian, let me make this thing very clear. our manual is the scriptures, okay? And sometimes we go by the scriptures, what the scripture says. When the Bible talks about fornication, and fornication is actually sex before marriage, and the Bible countless time has spoken against it. So please, if you want to do your thing, sometimes you can do it without involving the scripture. The moment you involve the scripture, you are totally wrong, because severally scriptures have spoken about we not having sex before marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope that your question is answered. Well, let me tell you something. How do you feel about couples keeping separate bedrooms?
Okay, so personally, I think it's better that couples sleep together. However, as a professional, I know that there are several reasons why couples may want to maintain separate bedrooms. It doesn't mean they're not having sex. It doesn't mean they're having less sex. A couple might decide that if we stay in the same bedroom, perhaps I don't like your habits around hygiene. We're going to fight more. So let's have our different bedrooms, but we can still connect intimately, right? It doesn't stop them from doing that. So you have couples who have that arrangement to keep the peace. You have couples, maybe one person snores and the other person is unable to sleep, and then they say, okay, just to keep the peace, let's sleep in separate rooms. But it doesn't mean that they're not having sex. It doesn't mean that, things are not happening between them. It doesn't mean that they're not even spending time sleeping on the bed together, and then maybe at some point in the night somebody goes to their room. It doesn't mean that those things are not happening, right? So it just depends on the couple. I would say I would love for couples to sleep together, but in circumstances where sleeping apart can keep your peace and your sanity, if that's the decision the couples take, then that's fine.
Yeah. I would love to sleep apart. I mean, not sleep apart, but I would love to have my own room outside of, the main, whatever it is. We have a caller. Hello?
Personally, I would love to sleep apart.
Hello? Okay. So I can't stress on this enough. If you call us and the volume on your TV set is high, we cannot hear you because it gives us feedback, and then obviously you can't speak to us. So please turn down the volume on your TV set before you call us, okay? Is that clear? It feels like it's not clear enough. Hello?
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 Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
I'm trying to.
Okay, go ahead. We can hear you.
Please, I want to know how sometimes we can do.
How what?
Yeah, I'm just asking about sometimes how can do.
How you can sometimes do what?
How sometimes we can.
Can you speak up? We're struggling to. You're swallowing your words. You need to speak up so we can hear you well.
Yes, how is.
Okay, this is a struggle. We really cannot hear you. Obviously, you're calling because you have a concern or a contribution. So you're going to have to speak up so that we can hear you, because it's like you're swallowing your words. I want to know how, but the rest of it is like, I don't really know. I don't really know.
I wanted to say something about divorce rates and people divorcing because of sex.
Okay, I think we're going to take our last caller. Hello?
Sure.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Please, I'm good, and you?
I'm very well, thank you. Talk to us. We can hear you.
Okay, please. I've been in a relationship for 3 years now, and almost about 1 year, 7 months now, my partner has not been having an affair with me, so I needed little advice from you. And I'm calling all the way from Volta region, and this is the first time I'm watching this program.
Okay. So you're saying that in 1 year and 7 months he has not touched you?
Yes, please.
You live together?
No, he goes and comes.
He goes and comes. So when he's gone, how long is he gone for?
At times, he comes at weekends, for 3 days time, every 3 days time.
Every 3 days he comes. And for a whole year and 7 months he hasn't touched you? Allow me. Over to you, sex coaches. I'm not qualified enough to touch on this. What would you say the problem could be?
There are different reasons that.
Oh, we are not having any problem. We are not having any grudge. We are not having any grudge. That
Have you?
All the time, if I tell him, he tells me he's busy, and all.
Right.
I don't really understand.
What was it like before? Like,
So before he stopped touching you, what was your sex life like?
Because they dated for 3 years, so ask her.
Was it good? Was it
I
consistent?
don't know.
were they having any issues?
Was it
with-
consistent?
So we were not having any issue.
Right.
But wait, how was your sex life before? Like, you stopped? Like, how would you say?
It was normal.
It was normal. And you were
know.
having? How often were you doing it? Oh, because she needs to find out like
Wow,
what's
a year
going
and
on.
7 months. That's a lot.
And has she asked him like, oh, the next
Yeah, she
time
says she has, and he says he's busy.
he's busy when he's at home with her and they're in bed? Does he tell her he's busy? No, it's no. I wish she was on the line.
This question.
No, it's a lot of questions you need to ask before
I
you
know.
can tell her. this
Okay,
is
so
it. Yeah.
obviously we couldn't ask all the questions, but let's look at it based on the information we have. What would you say is the problem?
Now, I can't specifically say this is the problem, but
Right.
I will tell you some of the things that I have encountered in the course of my working with people. I've had, I work with both men and women and couples, and one of the recurring reasons why men would come to therapy, in my experience, men are not necessarily coming to say they want to learn. They take our courses, they buy the books, but they don't necessarily come to say, I want to learn one-on-one. Not a lot of them. Some, yes, but not a lot. You know what they come for? If there's a problem with their erection. So if a man is experiencing erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, he is blowing up our office lines all the time. He wants to book a session immediately. He is ready to do anything just to get that problem resolved. Now, what I have also found in cases like that is when a man starts to struggle with his erection, you know, for a lot of men, their erections, their penis is very tied to their ego, right? And so if it's not working, some men start to think, oh, I'm not man enough. So there's anxiety in their minds about not being able to perform, right? Performance anxiety. And then there's also the anxiety of, I'm not able to satisfy this woman. Remember, they're with a partner. Maybe they're together, they want to have sex, the erection doesn't come up. And of course, the woman is expectant. So you see a reaction. They again, what's going on? That also gives so there's anxiety coming from them internally, and there's anxiety also from the partner's reactions as well. It gets to the point where men then start to keep quiet. They start to avoid it. They resort to avoidance. So rather than facing failure, because to them they start to term it as failure, rather than being in that space of failure, I would rather avoid being in that space. So I would do anything to avoid being in that space. And so I've seen that with a lot of men in the course of my working with men who deal with erectile issues. And you see that they're not telling their women, but they will tell me all of these things. And then we start to work on it, right? And they want to get better before they go back to her.
Right.
So I know that that's one of the reasons why a man can start to avoid sex. I don't know if there's been any erectile issue in that situation, but I know that with a lot of men, that is one very significant reason, why that could happen.
Right. Very interesting. Okay.
But the failure bit, like when he asks for sex a number of times and she says no. Like every time she says no, it's like rejection. So it happens a number of times and it's like, well, I don't want to ask
Anymore.
So it's like, you don't want it anyway, so let me just leave it. And they get used to that. The failure rejection thing, it just gets to them so much. Yeah, another side to it could be that he has someone else.
I saw that coming, didn't I?
But we can never know for sure what's going on.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up on this conversation, but let me tell you about the Duvet Experience, which is happening on the 13th and on the 14th. No, in fact, let's wrap this up, okay? In wrapping up, Ami, hot sex every day.
Yeah.
You still have the book. Where can people find it?
Guys, this book shows you the many possibilities when it comes to sex. There's not just one way to have sex. It shows you 365 things you can do with your partner to get sexual pleasure, how to have the various things you've heard of, like telling you how to enjoy sex with your partner, how to maximize pleasure, the many ways to go about it, how to be safe, even if you're long distance. I'm showing you how with details, so that your sex life won't be boring. It won't be the one way all the time. Get a copy. Hit me up. You can get it on Amazon. You can get a soft copy on Amazon. Just type hot sex every day. If you want a physical copy, Instagram, my handle is Amishika, AMISHIKAH. This Friday I have an event happening. Valentine's Day. So my event is open to everybody, singles, couples, everybody. So what's happening with couples, you get to have a very romantic experience with your partner at dinner, bonding games, celebrating your love. And for singles, I love the singles so much because a lot of people, they need an avenue to meet somebody. So we are curating a speed dating experience for anybody who is single. You don't need to be left out of the Valentine's Day experience. Come to Live Resto Lounge in East Legon, Baulishi. It starts at 7 p.m. You get to talk to date a number of people for like a few minutes. See who you have a great vibe with, and then continue the conversation later. You might meet your dream husband there, or your soulmate, whatever. This Friday, Live Resto Lounge, East Legon, Baulishi.
Right. I love the way you pointed at me when you said soulmates. That's very encouraging to me. Hopefully I get one soon. But I mean, so wrap up the conversation for us, seeing as you're still on the
why sex is important.
So just wrap it up.
So first thing, right, when you meet with the partner, communication is very, very important. Like when you get in a relationship, it's very important to talk about like how much sex you expect to have and what your needs are. We should be able to talk about fantasies even. Although there are ways to navigate having such conversations, like it's important. And it's also important to like explore, like act like you know nothing about sex. Like it's a clean slate. Explore each part of each other's bodies. You know, you might never know where like you notice that, oh, this part is sensitive. Explore different stimulation techniques. I talk about a body mapping exercise in my book that couples can do, where like you're taking, like spending time on each part of each other's body to see how each part will respond to various stimulation techniques, so that you can learn each other's bodies. Like there's so much you can do. Sex is great, the bonding is great, and a bad sex life transcends, it will affect your relationship. When it's great, your whole relationship benefits. Great sex benefits your entire well-being also. So yeah, let's communicate, and I mean, aim to please each other and find a way. Like there's a balance. If you have issues, see a professional.
All right, thank you, Ami. Allow me, let's wrap this up.
So I would say this, in the space of couples handling sex, there's so many reasons why sex can go wrong, from where you're coming from to where you are, to what you've learned, to, you know, limiting beliefs and all of these things, right? And a lot of times couples start to butt heads in that department. Now what couples don't realize is when you speak to each other a lot of times, you're not just hearing the words, you're hearing the history, you're hearing the emotions, you're hearing everything. And so you hear people say things like, but that's what you said last time. You said you were going to improve, but you did nothing about it. You're hearing emotions, you're hearing a lot of things. If you have tried to deal with a situation, a concern over and over again, and you find that you're not making way, please see a professional to help you, a non-partisan person, because I find that when I speak with my clients, I'm saying things to them and they're hearing, but when their partners say they don't hear, I am not partisan, and I can be very objective about these things. But when you speak together as partners, sometimes, especially when you're continuously butting heads, you are hearing not just the words the person is saying in that moment, but you are hearing the history, you're hearing the past, you're hearing the emotions, you're hearing everything. And so ultimately couples should, you know, learn to do better. I also would say that in the space of sex is a lot deeper than just the mechanics of it, right? I have a book that teaches you a whole lot of things around
where
sex.
Where can we find the book?
Yes, it's at City Reads. It's available at City Reads, also available on Instagram at olaomienso_therapist, right? I would also say to people, if there are deeper issues that you are dealing with, please don't try to use superficial interventions to resolve them, because the root problems will still be there. So do what you need to do. All right, so your handle again on Instagram? At Olaomienso, WUNMI_therapist.
Okay. All right. Pastor Randolph, let's wrap this up.
Wow.
Really quickly. Our time is all gone. So really quickly.
I want to say that, please, we shouldn't allow our past experiences to eat up in what we are building. Sometimes one of the reasons why people don't really have good sex is because of their past, what they've been through, and based on that, they allow this thing to have effect on their present relationship.
Right.
So please, if you think you have an issue, deal with a professional, let him help you, or let a professional assist you to overcome some of these things. And please, have time for your partner, talk to your partner, make sure that you guys are enjoying and learning together, so we can enjoy a very good sex life.
All right, do you want to share your handle, social media?
Randolph Menya, that is my name on social media.
All right, so do not forget that Duvet Experience 2025 Glow in the Dark. This February, celebrate love in style with the Duvet Experience, and it's happening at Alisa Hotel. It's on the 13th and on the 14th of February 2025. Now, the Duvet Experience features two main events. So here's what's going to happen. The two main events, the Love Fair is on the 13th and on the 14th of February. It starts at 8 a.m. and it goes all the way to 6 p.m. Shop for your unique and romantic gifts at the forecourt of Alisa Hotel. Vendors, grab your spot at an affordable price by calling 0244092857. Come and buy and sell and mingle with your favorite EIB TV and radio personalities. And the second one is going to be an intimate dinner, obviously happening on the 14th of February at 7 p.m. We're ending the celebration with an elegant dinner party featuring performances by KK Fosu. It's going to have Ursula Issel, and it's going to have a sensational live band. Plus, the vibrant Akuma Mamazimbi will bring her magic to the event. Expect roses, chocolates, delicious meals, and exciting, very exciting giveaways for yourselves. Of course, yourself and your partner. Tickets are going for 500 Ghana cedis single and 950 Ghana cedis double. Keep in mind that this is happening at the Alisa Hotel. Call 0501-317784 or visit Alisa Hotel to reserve your seat. Do not miss out on this extraordinary celebration of love. Duvet, love is in the air. It's going to be a Valentine weekend. Hopefully, I won't say that. Oh, no. I will say that on the TV, but thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor Randolph. Thank you, Olaomi, for joining us. Thank you, Amishika. My name is Natalia. Connect with me. Yes, I am Natalia. All social media platforms. We do this again next week. Big shouts going out to the crew, to my producer, Gifty Mensai Wuku, to my director, Dani, to Queen Esther, to Bwedi, to Enoch. It's like today all my favorite people are here, honestly. The crew's fantastic. We'll do this again next week. Good night.